What is up, dudes? And also lady dudes, as always, guys. Welcome back to Just Nuts. Today, we're taking a look at the OCG ban list that just dropped. It's set to go into effect October 1st, so we still have like 2 weeks before the OCG gets this into effect. So this is just the OCG, but I think it's important to sometimes look at the OCG and what they do with products and new cards and also ban lists to see what we could possibly extrapolate what could possibly happen in our format, in our part of the game in the near future, because they are kind of ahead of us, usually by a couple months. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Shout out to Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization, by the way. They're always killing it with the news. They said October 1st, 2019 limit regulations in which Guard Dragons / Dragon Link are struck by a nuclear warhead and Agripane is right on the cover. So I think we can guess what's going to happen in the first slot here. We'll start with the forbidden cards here. We start with Eclipse Wyvern. There's a card that we already have banned here. Nothing too, I mean, it's not crazy, but it's like, it is a little piece of like damage because like, I guess you could just, there were just ways to like send it generically, and then it just sets up searches for Chaos Dragon Legionnaire and extenders and all that stuff. So it's a good card, and I think hitting it is just hitting dragons in general, because dragons are just super strong right now. And then next up, the big guy, the big hit on like this entire list is Guard Dragon Agripane. This card's insane. A lot of people have argued whether or not Agripane or Elpie are, you know, the causes for hits. They argue that like Elpie lets you get into the Agripane part of the combo, but I believe that there would be ways to get to the Agripane part of the combo anyway. And just the fact that he just bypasses like summoning mechanics altogether and just plops any synchro monster without needing to take two monsters to go into it, any whatever, and then still having the link materials to link off into something else is just a little bit too strong for my liking. And a lot of people's liking as well, understandably. So we're going to see Agripane go, and hopefully we see Agripane go in the TCG pretty soon. I just think this card's a little bit too busted in just voiding mechanics. I think LP would still be good. LP would still let you extend your combos, and then you raw make some of these cards. You raw synchro into Red Dragon. You raw make, you overlay for stuff to make Vortex. Like whatever it is, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can still do stuff, you're just not bypassing the mechanics of the game. And the last forbidden card on here is Soul Charge, a card that should have been banned a long time ago. I'm surprised it wasn't. I didn't even realize it wasn't before, so like that's kind of crazy. But yep, Soul Charge gone. And then we move to the limited cards. So we start with White Dragon Wyvern Burster. This is a card that was not... for us, I believe we already had them at 1 and 1, so they're just like two little extenders you can play, but you just can't play them at 3 and 3 because it's just too consistent in seeing like +2s, like essentially. So it's just too good, extends you too easily, gets you too much extra link material, and seeing it to 1, I think is good because Wyvern Burster is the one you would play at more, not Collapse Serpent, because generally there's more dark dragons than light dragons. There. So cool there. Another really nice hit is Saryuja Skuldred. A lot of people in the TC have called for this for a long time now. Just keeping random decks that just literally go through 3 Saryuja in one turn just to dig 20 cards deep into your deck in one turn. That's like that allows certain FTKs to be more possible. It allows other cards. It's just a little bit too strong on an effect that's not a hard once per turn. Like Skuldred literally needed that effect that draws and puts back. It needed it to either be a hard once per turn or just limit it to 1. They got to do one or the other. So I really like this at 1, and I would like to see it go to 1. I think it's fine at 1, but more than that, it's just a little too much. Draco Net here, nothing crazy. It's a little weird to see, but I guess it makes sense. Like Dragon Link is just super strong, and this is 1 card, insane combo. So they're just trying to hit the consistency of the deck like that. So you either have to play other starter cards that maybe might not be quite as good, and you just might not have as many follow plays. Like if you get stopped turn 1, you can't just have another Draco Net in hand or have another card, and it just lowers the consistency that way. So I don't have a problem with this at all. Next up, through 1 Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine goes to 1 here. I think this is awesome as well. Another huge cry in the TCG to see this card not be at 3. I mean, I don't know. Like I feel like that cry hasn't been as abundant as of late, just because there are decks that just play one copy because they have terraforming, they have, maybe they play metaverse or whatever, to fetch it, the one copy, should they be in that sort of situation. But like pure Mystic Mine isn't really a thing, and we saw the boy Jeff on the Pro Play Game Tour get top 16, but that's about it. And he had a very strange list. Not that it can't work. You have a very good chance of winning a lot of game ones, but after game one, any deck that has a decent amount of back row side deck hate just kind of beats you. So that's the big problem there. Other than that, though, I mean, I like it at 1. I like it at 1 because decks just can't play 3 copies of this card and see it a bunch. I just think it promotes like a really sacky, like terrible way to play the game. And I get it because it is, like, says a big fuck you to combo. And, you know, combo has been a kind of a problem where we've had kind of uninteractive formats where, like, combo just sets up in your face and you lose. But Mystic Mine, I guess, combats that, but not in the way I think we'd like it to. So Mystic Mine going to 1, definitely a fan of that. Another interesting one, we see Zodiac Barrage go to 1. I believe this was banned in the OCG. We have it at 3 here, but we have other hits to Zodiacs. This one goes to 1. Pretty interesting. Could this be the beginning of seeing Zodiacs peel off the ban list? Because maybe this is something that they put it at 1, they see if anything happens, then nothing happens, and they put it at 2, and then nothing happens, they put it at 3, nothing happens, and then they start peeling off Dryden and Broad Bull. I don't think Broad Bull will ever come back. I think it's... Until the game is like that insane, I don't really see Broad Bull coming back. But I think Dryden legitimately allows Zodiacs to actually do something as an engine. Like, they don't just like end on a big monster that can banish something by battle, because that's not enough. That doesn't do anything. It's not an actual disruption. But Dryden is another story. That's a legitimate disruption. Pair that with hand traps, pair that with traps. You could play pure Zodiac control. It'd be something I'm interested in. I never really got to play Zodiacs before they got banned, but I'd be interested in that. And the last card here is Dragonic Diagram. I want to say this was banned. That's how they just decided to just like crush Dracos in the OCG. So maybe this could be a start sign. I mean, like with Terraforming, you got 2 copies of Diagram. You could play, not Metaverse, but I don't know. It's a nice consistency card. It's a nice power card for Dracos, letting them do what they want to do. And maybe Dracos will be able to do stuff in the OCG now. Who knows? Semi-limited list. Fairly long here. We see Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. I don't know what this was at before. I can't remember if it was at like 1 or at 3 or 0. I can't remember, but I don't think heroes are really that crazy. I mean, they're okay. They're better than I think a lot of people give them credit for, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think that's too impactful. Predator Plant, Orphis, Scorpio. I'm not sure how their hits look for Brilliant Fusion. I want to say they have it at 1 like we do, but maybe even banned. It's a really strong card, but seeing this get semi-limited, I don't even know what this deal is, but I don't think it's that big of a deal anymore either. Lady Debug to 2. I believe this was at 1 before, like we have it, but once they decided to hit the Gazelle, they were like, okay, we can pull Lady Debug off a little bit. That being said, they have Marine Cess stuff coming out. Salamander is still a very competitive deck, and Code Talkers and so on and so forth. There's going to be, decks that this can be abused in, so I think they're just tempering, not leaving it at 3 so that any Cybers deck can just throw this, can just abuse this deck out the booty hole. And also adding Nisters are coming up too, so trying to still keep it at 2, but they thought 1, I guess, was a little too brutal. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is pretty cool here. This is just a card where like board whites have been power crept at this point. It's a cool card. We have it at 3. Hasn't really done anything. It's an interesting side deck card if you're already playing Kaijus in your main, like going second, like Dinos or something. It's an interesting card, but outside of that, I don't really see it being too crazy. For some very interesting stuff, Spiral Resort going to 2. This card is insane, and now this card is at 2. And I think a lot of people are going to be a little nervous. Maybe, it's OCG, so like TCG may not be nervous, but like I think we might see Spirals make a jump back on top. I mean, this card is huge for the archetype. It's now you now have 3 Spiral Resort. Pretty good. Reasoning goes to 2. This is another interesting one. You know what? I'm going to say both of these at the same time. Reasoning and 1 for 1, both going to 2. These are both cards that have been at 1 on the ban list for a while because they just are pretty generic at tutoring out very possibly powerful cards. 1 for 1. We know there are a lot of powerful level 1 monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! This card, would make decks that abuse those very, very good, much better. And reasoning for specific decks, more so reasoning, but those decks would love to have multiple reasoning. It's a very strong starter, lets you play through hand traps, lets you do all this stuff. Very, very good card. And then the last card here that's getting semi-limited is True Draco Face Off. I believe this card was either at 1 or 2 or none before, and now it goes to 2. It's just a really good turbo card if you're playing like a more Draco Slayer-esque version of Pendulums. You just like load one into your extra deck and also put one in scale. So you're just really loading up your extra deck to just make a really powerful Pendulum summon, more or less. So pretty good card, not too shabby. Yeah, and then for unlimited cards, everything that comes off the ban list completely. You've got ABC Dragon Buster. Not a big deal. I mean, it's nice for ABC players in the OCG, but for us, we've had the whole deck unbanned for a while now, and it hasn't done much. It's still an okay rogue option, but nothing crazy. Dark-Armed Dragon's pretty interesting. I think with how fast Yu-Gi-Oh is nowadays, it's going to be pretty easy to set this card up, so I'm curious to see if this card actually makes an impact there. TG Hyper Librarian, whatever. It can support some crazy combos, but those are usually combos that just lose to one hand traps. Nothing crazy. Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier is an interesting one for people just possibly trying to cycle multiple Trishula in a turn and like just rip a bunch of cards. But I think those decks are few and far in between, and again, like probably susceptible to hand traps. Necros Cycle. Necros have just they've paid their dues. They've been gone long enough. I think that they can have their cards come off the list and be given a real chance to compete in the metagame. So Cycle, really helpful with that. Limited Removal was mainly just used in a time where like OTKs were huge and battle traps actually mattered. But I think it's fine now. I think it's totally fine now. And Solemn Strike going to 3 is another interesting card just because this means that now the OCG has 3 Judgment, 3 Warning, and now 3 Strike. They have 9 Solemns at their disposal, which means control decks can be very obnoxious, especially if they win the die roll, to just set 2 or 3 Solemns, because a lot of decks just lose to 1 Solemn, or at least pass a turn after 1 Solemn, and it can be tough. So I'm curious how to see. I mean, like, the difference is only, I think they had Strike at 2, so it goes from 8 to 9, so it's not a crazy difference, but 9 is just a ton of Solemns to be able to play in one deck. So we'll see where that goes there. But that's pretty much it here, guys. Pretty cool list. I like it a lot. I don't think Orcus are as prevalent, or even like, are they? Were Orcus TCG exclusive? I don't even remember, but I don't think Orcus was that big of a deal, or they decided not to hit him yet. Oh no, they do. They definitely have Orcus, but I guess they're not as big in the OCG on Orcus. So there's like no hits here to that, but they really go after dragons. Eclipse Wyver, Guard Dragon Agripane, Wyver Burster, Saryuja, Draconet for Dragon Link. Am I missing anything else? I think that's really the big ones. Yeah. So what? 4 different, pretty fairly big hits. No, 5. 5 hits, all the dragon decks. Pretty crazy to see there. Some pretty interesting stuff coming off the list as well. And curious to see how this shakes up the format. I like the list. I think it's fine. Striker's not as big a problem for them, so that's not a big worry. I don't think Pendulums are as big for them as they are here, so that's not a big worry. So, we'll see. And I'm looking forward to our next ban list as well, seeing how that changes things. If old decks like Strikers, Orcus are getting up there in timeline, to see how much longer they go without, really getting the nail. And obviously Guard Dragons. I want to see Agripane go, or just do. So we'll see, guys. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. As always, hopefully this was a nice little news video teaching you about where the OCG is currently in their ban list. And subscribe if you haven't to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. So peace.